Hey everyone. Okay, today we're going to be discussing how to be successful in retiring early with Yieldmax and ULTY dividends. I'm going to give you 5 keys to maximizing these funds. ULTY, Yieldmax funds we're talking about here, we're going to be talking about ULTY and MSTY. Okay, so we just did a video, Marcus and I, we did that podcast on ULTY and MSTY, and we break down a lot of the specifics of those funds in that podcast. Go check that out, Marcos Milla's channel. He's in the chat as well. We'll talk in a little bit. But now we're going to do a follow-up on that video to some degree because I want to discuss how I'm being successful with ULTY and MSTY, especially as it pertains to using margin to live financially free out of your brokerage account. That's what we're doing here at this channel. We're leading the FIRE movement, which means financially independent, retire early. Yieldmax dividends help me earn over $600,000 per year in dividends. So this is how we're living free from 9 to 5, and we're outperforming the market in the process. On Friday, Thursday, we had a holiday on Friday, July 4th. Happy July 4th, everyone. We're up 16,000 on Thursday. So every day we've been getting these massive gains as you've been watching the portfolio, you've been keeping track of the portfolio. We're up 18.5% now. So we're living financially free out of our brokerage accounts using Yieldmax, using MSTY and ULTY. Those are just 2 of the funds that we use to combine into our portfolio for a total approach to live financially free from 9 to 5. We're outperforming the market in the process using some margin. If you need help doing the same, email me for my e-guides at akintod48@gmail.com. You can also head to my website, unconventionalwealthideas.com, and you can learn more about my e-guides and the FIRE community that we've established with this YouTube channel. Okay, so I want to note, by the way, that we're up 16,000, which isn't important on Friday. We're up 1.05%, which, as you can see above, beat all of the indexes once again. How are we doing this? All right, if you're new to my channel, you know that we're doing this with margin, okay? Obviously, I have a filter on my portfolio here. You see Cornerstone, it's already set up for Cornerstone. I had a filter for ULTY, but we'll get to that in 1 second. So $430,000 is the margin debt that we have currently. I've really been increasing my margin debt, even though the market's at the highs. And that's something that we need to discuss in this video, is not only how to be successful in retiring early with Yieldmax and MSTY and ULTY with margin, but we also need to discuss the fact that the market's at the highs, okay? The market is back at all-time highs again. And even though we're at the highs, I'm still increasing my margin. So we're going to discuss a little bit more of that in 1 second. I have 5 keys for y'all, and at the end of the video, I'm going to give y'all a little bonus pick of mine, a little vehicle that I'm using right now. It's not a little vehicle, it's a top index play, but it's a new move I'm making to take advantage of this potentially new bull market that we're seeing, a rejuvenated bull market. We're at the highs, as you can see here by this chart of the S&P. We're back at the highs. A lot of people are saying, oh, this melt up's coming, you know, the market should have another leg up. Well, that makes me automatically suspicious of such a comment, because obviously we do the opposite of whatever the market does. So if everyone's bearish, like they were bearish a couple weeks ago, they were bearish here at this low. I remember a lot of people were emailing me and saying the sky was going to be falling here at this low. You know, they watch all these YouTubers, and when I say YouTubers, I don't mean my complex, my community of YouTubers, but traditional YouTube videos will just make a lot of doom and gloom videos. Even in CNBC and a lot of other public channels, you know, fear sells. And I think that that's just such an erroneous way to invest, because when you invest, you know that crashes are rare. They've happened, 18 to 20 times? Crashes of this magnitude have happened 18 to 20 times, you know, in the history of our stock market. Go double check that. I'm not going to say the exact numbers, but it's something like that. And we usually average 7 to 10% per year in the S&P. So I don't know why everyone's so scared of market corrections all the time. But now everyone's saying that the market's going higher, and that makes me scared of the market going higher, just because, you know, again, I do the opposite of what everyone does. I'm a contrarian investor. But if you look at CRF, which is the fund that we use to track the S&P, we're going to talk about Yieldmax in 1 second. You can see that it looks like it's gearing up for another leg higher. Cornerstone is one of my keys to being so successful in my account, and we'll discuss that in 1 second. Okay, we'll get back to Cornerstone. So for now, let's talk about the fact that, well, we just identified the market being at the highs, and the fact that it could continue to melt up with all the things happening with the macroeconomic backdrop, which we won't discuss in this video. We've discussed in past videos all the catalysts for this market going higher. And now we need to be ready for both directions, going higher and going lower. Okay, so my members and I, we've all been discussing in the past videos, our membership videos here, we've been discussing how I'm playing this market. You can see all of my allocations, my entire portfolio here under the membership section and YouTube. And we've been trying to be ready for both directions once again. Okay, that's my motto. Okay, I'm always ready for both directions. So we don't want to miss out on this potential rally. But when you have something like the market being at the highs, we could have another leg up. But if ULTY is such a big position of ours, okay, ULTY, you know, to use this fund successfully, okay, you need to put a lot of money in it. In my opinion, we don't give it financial advice at these channels. At least I don't. Okay, I know Marcos, he's here in the chat. He doesn't. We're not giving financial advice. We're just sharing what works for us. And with ULTY, I have to put a lot of money in ULTY to matter. And if you go back to Marcos's video that we just did, you'll see he had the returns for ULTY. It was about 15%. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, Marcos. It was about 15%. Return roundabouts with ULTY, and Misty had something like 100 and something percent return over the course of, I believe, a year. And I was saying to Marcos, you know, Misty obviously blows away ULTY performance wise, but I put more dollars behind ULTY because I'm a fan of compounding. And in this case with ULTY, we do not compound our gains like we do with Cornerstone, which I already alluded to briefly. We compound our dividends though with ULTY. We put such a large amount of money in ULTY that I don't need 100% return to make the same dollars as I would with Misty. So Misty, I would never put all of my money into that because it's just a stock, it's Bitcoin, it's volatile. And if you put 10,000, let's say in Misty, you would need 100% return to get another 10,000. Whereas if I put 100,000 in ULTY, which is much more realistic for me because I need to live off ULTY, I can't live off of 10,000 Misty. Well, I can make 10% on 100,000 so much easier. You know, that's only a 10% move, and that's after all what the S&P averages per year, 7 to 10% per year if you want to count inflation. So we can make the same returns as Misty dollar-wise if we have more money in ULTY, which is what we want to do because we want to live financially free out of our brokerage accounts. We have to put all of our money into the indexes. That's what I do, at least in my channel. I put all my money into the indexes. That's why I put so much in Cornerstone, because it is the index. This is how we get our capital gains, our compounding with dollars, not compounding with dividends. I want compounding in both areas. Compounding is the ninth wonder of the world, okay? And I like to say the ninth wonder of the world because some people think the Astrodome is, you know, up there. Okay, so compounding is the ninth wonder of the world, and we want it from both sides. Cornerstone's gains, we also compound Cornerstone's dividends, and we want to compound ULTY's dividends so that we can snowball our income, which, first of all, again, if you're just now joining us live, we're up 18.5% for the year. We're snowballing our income with ULTY and Yieldmax and Cornerstone, which is allowing us to use this over 600,000 in dividends or distributions, whatever you want to call them. It's allowing them to pay down my margin so fast that my account is growing as a function of just my margin being reduced. Okay, so again, if you reduce your margin with dividends, not with bringing money in from the outside. Okay, if I brought in money from the outside and lowered my margin by, let's say, 100,000, that would not do anything to increase my performance just because my margin got paid down. You have to get paid down with either capital gains that you sell from in the market or your dividends. So if my dividends pay down my margin, then my account grows by the equivalent amount, and that's how I get my performance. Everyone always wonders, how do I get this performance with Yieldmax? If let's say ULTY has a 15% return, how am I at 18%? Well, obviously it's margin, and we discussed in my last video on ULTY how I use ULTY to live financially free out of my brokerage account. Go check that video out. I talk about how to use equity and the power of maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. And so I know what I can expect with my daily gains because I have it pegged to my margin. Okay, I know exactly if the index is average 10%, I can, per year, I can peg my performance with my margin and control my gains. So if the market goes up 1%, I go up 1.5%. So that's all in the past video. So Cornerstone is how we get our daily gains, our compounding from daily gains, and somewhat our dividends, because it has a 20% dividend. It's very high, and it drips every month for those gains. So if you're new to my channel and you don't know Cornerstone, let's just do a quick check. It looks like here we have 19.79 premiums for Cornerstone, CRF. 19.79, meaning that we get that every month on top of our 20% dividend. So you get the best of all three worlds with Cornerstone. You get the daily gains, which, as you can see, Cornerstone blew away the markets. It was at 1.41 on Thursday. It's been absolutely destroying the markets lately as well. So 1.41, look above. It's beating the indexes. And this is the key to living financially free out of my brokerage account. It's all about Cornerstone, because Cornerstone, first of all, has the low maintenance that we need. ULTY is 50% maintenance, which isn't bad for the risky funds that it holds within it. But Cornerstone is 30% maintenance, okay? TJ, if you need some water, go get some water, buddy, okay? So 30% maintenance is much lower. It's almost half of what ULTY is. And so that's why I can put so much more in Cornerstone and preserve my equity and live financially free out of my brokerage account. If you need help understanding maintenance, that's in my Volume 3 e-guide. So Cornerstone's maintenance is 30%. ULTY's maintenance is 50%. I could put almost twice the amount of money in Cornerstone, once again, with an 18% yield currently. It's 21% every year at its NAV. And if you just play the rights offering properly with Cornerstone, then you get to not only get this dividend of 20%, 21%, which you reset every year with the premium levels and its rights offerings. You get the dividends, premium gains, like you just saw, those 19% gains every month, and you get the rights offering opportunities. So you get days gains, dividends, and drip gains every month with Cornerstone. And Cornerstone's a 4-star fund if you don't know about Cornerstone. So we're not going to go like too much into Cornerstone today. My members are well aware of this, of course, and they don't mind because they know how successful they have been with Cornerstone. But Cornerstone's a 4-star fund. It's been around since the 80s. Yieldmax is still relatively new. So that's also why I put so much of my money in Cornerstone. It has a lot of return of capital benefits too, tax advantaged benefits, just like Yieldmax. Cornerstone was always my favorite vehicle because it was the index. It was the index. You need to put all your money in the indexes, in my opinion, just like Warren Buffett says. And the index, you can't find an index with a high enough yield to survive on, in my opinion, except Cornerstone. Cornerstone's the highest yield in the land with the indexes at the time. Now Yieldmax has a lot of indexed vehicles as well within them, and they have that yield and its return of capital. So it's like Cornerstone, but on steroids. However, with Yieldmax, you don't get the gains, okay? The compounding gains. So looking at ULTY's chart, you see that we just go sideways. We keep saying here, that's like a glorified CD account for us. It's just paying us this 80% dividend going sideways. That's fantastic, but we're not compounding. So how do we be successful with not only outperforming ULTY, but living financially free out of our brokerage accounts? It's by A, using Cornerstone, which I always say, and B, you have to watch your maintenance, and ULTY is 50% maintenance. You can go to other brokers with lower maintenance, but you don't want to put too much money in ULTY because they might fall big like they did during the recent correction. So ULTY has some high beta names in it, and it can fall big, so you need to be able to protect it. How do we hedge ULTY? It's not only with YQQ like Yieldmax advises to. I mean, Yieldmax also, I think they own YQQ as well. So of course they would like you to be in YQQ because that's another product of theirs, just thinking out loud. But I hedge ULTY with put options. Okay, here are the top 10 holdings of ULTY. You can see some of them are index and some of them are speculative. Well, I use ULTY and put so much of my money in ULTY, but in order to do that, I have to protect it, again, with hedges, and I hedge it with put options. And so we know at my membership section in my channel, you can go see my put options there. You can always see my latest trades there, or you can go to Volume 5. That's how we hedge the market. We're up thousands of percent in the recent crash. The market's at the highs. So if we're at the highs and we were to have some big drop, ULTY is going to fall a lot harder than the S&P. So we need to be aware of that. If you're putting a lot of your money in ULTY, you're not getting the compounding like I just laid out at the beginning of the video. You need Cornerstone for the compounded gains. Anything Yieldmax related, you're not really getting the compounded gains. You're getting compounded dividends, not compounded capital gains. We need that with Cornerstone. And by the way, don't just put all your money in Cornerstone. Make sure you're playing it properly. Play it around the rights offerings and the premium thresholds if you're just now joining this video. If you need help playing Cornerstone, that's in my volume 4 e-guide. Also, we give you the rights offering announcement alert here at Discord. When you buy my e-guide, you get Discord for free for life. And again, this is where we alert you the Cornerstone rights offering announcement. And this is where we sold out at the highs with Cornerstone. We sold out right here. People don't believe me, but go look at this drop. This drop happened with the N2 filing. So when we got the N2 filing at Discord, this is when we sold. I was already reducing Cornerstone because the premiums were high. I lay all that out in volume 4. But I was also selling just because we had the N2 filing here at Discord. This is why it's the best Discord chat room in the world. And we got that alert. Members and I, we traded this after hours when we got the alert, and we started dumping right then. For members that couldn't get that alert in Discord because they don't like using it, you have my SMS options now through the membership section at YouTube. You can text me. I have SMS. Okay, you could call me and you could text me anytime because you get my phone number and you get Discord for life when you buy my e-guides, of course. But if you want that Cornerstone rights offering announcement, once again, you can either go to Discord for that, or you can just, here in memberships, you can sign up for the SMS option. Okay, I make it manageable for everyone. It's only $20 a month for the SMS option. So I'll text you when the next major alert happens in my portfolio. Not only Cornerstone rights offering announcements, but major fund launches, new fund updates. I give you my put options in those SMS services. So in the 20 a month, I give you my monthly puts for insurance that I use in that SMS. So it's a pretty valuable service. And then the 50 a month is for my members' trades only. They get all of my trades between when I'm making videos on YouTube. Make sure when you sign up for the SMS, I'll just say this one last thing, that you email me back with your YouTube username and your phone number so I can enter you into those SMS alerts. Okay, that's very important. I don't get the announcements when YouTube, when someone signs up to my memberships, I don't get the announcement. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Email me if you do sign up. Okay, so the first key to being successful with ULTY and MSTY, it is to compound your gains. Okay, you can't just get dividends from Yieldmax. It gives you a supplemental paycheck, but you're not growing your account, so you're just taking from your dividends each week or each month, and you're not ever getting ahead as a result because Yieldmax does not compound and grow. Now, a third point I'm going to make about ULTY and getting ahead. You can drip your dividends and help to get ahead, but we don't drip Yieldmax at this channel because, first of all, we only drip Cornerstone. Cornerstone is the only one worth dripping because they give you a 20% gain. They buy the bottom of the market for you at the bottom. So Cornerstone helped us outperform in 2022. People always ask, oh, with margin, you're going to get destroyed in a crash. We have not got destroyed in any crashes since this channel has been started. We outperformed the recent crash. And during 2022, before I started the channel, we still outperformed in that bear market. You can go see my results when I started the channel. I showed you those results because Cornerstone drips at the NAV, meaning it buys at dollar cost averages, DCAs the market bottom for you at the lows. Whereas Yieldmax does not drip at the lows. It just drips at whatever the market price is trading at that moment. So you can't drip Yieldmax because it doesn't give you an advantage, and it's risky because if you drip all your ULTY dividends at the highs and then the market falls out from underneath you, you're going to be too top heavy. You're going to lose a lot of performance on the downside from the highs, and then you won't have any money to buy the lows because you never pay down your margin and you never grew your equity. Okay, you have to pay down this margin in the meantime, grow your equity. This available withdrawal is the whole key to living financially free out of your brokerage account, because for every $1 you put in your account, you get $4 of purchasing power. Everyone can do this with a brokerage account. Everyone can be financially free because there's no credit check to use margin. There's no background check. There's no application process. You automatically have it once you do 4 round trip trades and have 25,000 in your account, for example, at E-Trade for 4 times purchasing power. So you have the whole world in your hands when you use margin. You don't need any help. You don't need an employer. You can do it all yourself if you're smart about it and you watch your available withdrawal. Again, that's all tied to maintenance and what I preach in volume 3, which we discussed at the beginning of this video. Okay, ULTY, when you have too much money in it, it's a problem with maintenance, and we discussed the advantages of maintenance with Cornerstone. Again, check out volume 3 if you need help understanding that. So you can control your destiny here, but if you drip at the highs of the market, then you're not going to be able to control your destiny because the market's just going to fall out from underneath you. You're going to have no money to buy the dips. You're going to get hurt hard. You're going to get hit hard. You're going to get hurt really bad. and you're going to not have enough hedge protection with YQQQ. You need to hedge with put options, okay, because they can really get you that exponential compounding power. And we touched on that some in Marcos's video. Okay, now another key that you need to understand to outperforming with Yieldmax, MSTY, and ULTY is you need to, in addition to not dripping at the highs, okay, you need to drip on dips. That's the key with ULTY, okay? But you also need to, as I always say, you need to sell a little bit of options, okay? This is the fourth reason I have for y'all. I have 5 points. You need to sell some options, I mean, in my opinion, okay? Because, for example, I sell these options here, and we can go ahead and kind of segue into MSTY as well, because with MSTY, I own MSTY. The key to success with me with MSTY is buying winter and hedging it with winter, neutralizing the income as we discussed in Marcos's video. And then I get my capital gains from Bitcoin vehicles like Maxi or even the leverage version of MSTY, MicroStrategy, MSTU. But beware of the fact that MicroStrategy, MSTR, is leveraged already with Bitcoin. They buy a lot of Bitcoin with their balance sheet. So if you use MSTU, you're using even more leverage. Just be aware of that. So we can use MST and all those, but just beware. They're high octane vehicles. So I can't have too much Bitcoin exposure through MicroStrategy because it's one company. I need to have it through Bitcoin itself. And so that's why I sell put options on Bitcoin, because I have my Bitcoin vehicles as I just laid out to you with MicroStrategy. It's not for the faint of heart, but that's where I'm getting my capital gains with those leverage vehicles and MSTs of the world. But I'm still not getting my compounded gains, and that's okay. I can't have too much money in Bitcoin because Bitcoin sucks up 100% of my equity. Bitcoin, as we know, it's 100% maintenance, okay? So I can't ever have too much of my money in Bitcoin. It doesn't have a big enough dividend for me anyway in down markets to survive on and live financially free with entirely. It's really damaging my ability to access equity in my account, live out of my account with margin, live out of it with debt. I pay my bills with my E-Trade card. Okay, I swipe it and go wherever I want in this world. And in order to do that, I have to keep high available withdrawal to live out of my account, even with this margin that I use. But if I use 100% in Bitcoin, obviously I'm going to have no equity left, no flexibility. And Bitcoin is just, it's too... Professionals recommend you having 3 to 5% in Bitcoin. So I'm going to go with that allocation, maybe 10% max. And so I can't put all my money in ULTY as I described because it doesn't have good compounding ability. It only has 15 to 30 names. The bottom can really drop out from underneath you, and it doesn't give you that capital, the compounding capital gains wise, as I keep saying. And then I can't put all my money in MSTY because MSTY is one name. It has headline risk. It's Bitcoin. You know, you can only keep 3 to 5, in my opinion, and it has 100% maintenance. So where can I put the rest of my money, the bulk of my money? Well, some people will put it in SPYIs or JETQs or Schwab Ds, JETBs, so many others that we keep in our portfolio. We own all of them separately in my portfolio. Again, you can see them in the membership section. But I don't put a lot of money in those. My members know that I keep those small. I put the bulk of my money into Cornerstone because this is how we really get our day's gains. We're up 16,000 on Thursday. Every day you've been seeing these videos like up 15, up 20, up 30. It's just been like that for a week or two straight as the market's been melting up. So that's why my account value has been just really ballooning lately. It's because of the compounding from Cornerstone. I can make money so much easier with Cornerstone. I can make 2,000 with CRF alone, contributing to my day's gains, okay? So it's easier to make money, as I said, a lot of money. When you have a lot of money behind something, you need smaller returns to get the same amount of dollars. And so Cornerstone, I'm getting these dollars that I would get with Bitcoin, but I'm preserving most of my equity. It's 30% maintenance versus Bitcoin's 100% maintenance. And Cornerstone gives me 1.41% days gains on an up day when the market was up only 1.02. So it gives you the dividends, days gains. Again, I've already gone over this, but that's why it's the best vehicle in the world, okay? And so just play Cornerstone properly, as I keep saying. And so I've given you 4 keys now, which was sell options. That's my 4th point. Okay, and these options, I'm segueing to Bitcoin with my options because I sell a lot of Bitcoin options. And BitX, you can see right here, we're up 6,000 in this, but we don't look at days gains or losses. We look at this column, the negative 18. This is the positive for me. This means they gave me $18,000 just for clicking my mouse. So I lowered my margin by about $50,000 to $100,000 just by selling these puts. It lowers my margin interest as a result. I'm not worried about my margin interest because it's around 5%, a little under 5%. Many of my members have negotiated their rates down as well because you get my phone number when you have my e-guides and you can text me for the script at any time. So we have BitX here as our Bitcoin exposure. It also has a dividend. So if we were to get assigned in these Bitcoin puts, then we make even more income on the way up and capital gains because BitX doesn't really decay too badly. And this is what you need to hedge with Misty. Again, people are going to say in this video, you can already look out for the haters afterwards. They're going to say, I'm talking about my e-guides too much, which I think I mentioned them very minimally, actually. We get to these junctures in the videos. You have to understand what I mean by maintenance or options, or you're going to be lost as you watch my videos, of course. So BitX right here, look at the decay. It was minimal, okay? It's nearly back at the old highs there. And if you go to GBTC, you'll see that it has a similar chart where it's back at the highs. Now, of course, there's a little bit of erosion with BitX because it's leveraged, but it's not that bad, okay? That leverage right there is nearly back at the old highs. And you have to factor in the detail that it has a dividend, a really large dividend. So that's why you have the decay. So if you have decay here, just factor back in the dividends and you're pretty much back to what Bitcoin's doing, but times 2 because it's BitX. It's a times 2. All right, so factor back in dividends even for ULTY, even for Misty, okay? Everyone's like, how are you going to deal with the NAV erosion? We talk about that in every video. There's no NAV erosion, in my opinion. If you just factor back in dividends, you buy the dips selectively with ULTY. Don't drip, okay? Drip the dips with ULTY. So I've given you 4 reasons, 4 ways to be successful with ULTY, Misty, and Yieldmax dividends, okay? I keep $100,000 to $200,000 with Yieldmax. That's a lot of money, okay? I keep a substantial amount of money in Yieldmax, but I also put a substantial amount of money in Cornerstone, and I don't just stop there. I spread it between many other funds as well. Cornerstone's only, 30% or so of my account, as y'all seen by past videos. So the key to ULTY, in my opinion, and Yieldmax is spreading your portfolio out with a bunch of names, a bunch of growth names that can really grow. And I'll give you that last tidbit for the day here. Okay, the fifth point that I had for y'all was that I use YieldBoost, okay? YieldBoost and Direction for getting more gains out of Yieldmax. So we need Cornerstone for our gains. We need other growth vehicles, but then we need to supercharge our growth, okay? Really supercharge our growth. Take it to the next level with our triple C's, okay? That's my latest e-guide, okay? Triple C's, volume 7, all right? So Cornerstone, obviously, and then the leverage funds. Everyone asks, what are the triple C's? Triples, they are UPRO, okay? For example, BitX is a double, okay? But these are leveraged funds that I use, and I use the ones that don't decay, and they make it to new highs over time, okay? Look at this chart of UPRO, all-time high. As you can see, as we move higher over time, UPRO does not decay. So I really use UPRO. I combine it with Cornerstone to get more days gains. As you can see, UPRO is up 2% on Friday or Thursday, and the S&P was up 0.83. So that's how I'm getting these gains. I'm using margin, but and this margin gives me 0.5 more of whatever the indexes do. But I'm also using some leverage. But the key to using these leverage vehicles is not just buy a bunch of leverage. It's the way you allocate them, and it's the way that you delever with all of your other funds and your margin leverage into a market downturn to then make more money on the way back up without the risk. Okay, we delivered without the risk in this recent crash thanks to how we use the triple C's. That's why I had to write my latest e-guide, volume 7 on the triple C's, because I'm so proud of it. It not only summarizes how I use Yieldmax and Rec Shares and all these other funds with Cornerstone and the triple C's, but I give updates on how I use options for protection. It's a complete summary of all of my guides, plus some newer updates from things that I've learned. And that's how we really got ahead on this time around, okay? We're up 18% for the year, and the market itself is only up about 4 to 5%. As we can see here, Nasdaq's up 4, the S&P is up 5, Dow's up 4, Russell is flat. We're up 18.5%. All right, so we're living financially free out of our brokerage accounts using ULTY, MSTY, Yieldmax, Cornerstone, and some margin. We're outperforming the markets, and we continue to get this outperformance thanks to the strategies that we're using with margin. If you need help using these strategies, email me for my e-guides at akintodd48@gmail.com, or you can head to my website, unconventionalwealthideas.com. You can see all of my testimonials here. I still haven't entered in my latest testimonials, but we have around 100 testimonials here of members who have been successful with my strategies, okay? You can see all of that information here. Let's go ahead and get into the chat now and see if anyone has any questions. If this is too long, then I'll edit this out at the end of the video. I apologize for being redundant if I was redundant, chat. I mean, I know that we've been covering ULTY a lot lately, but I wanted to discuss with you the keys to being successful with ULTY, and they're pretty much the same keys that I use all the time. But I gave you a little bit of nuances in today's video with the drip with ULTY, and my members know this stuff. My members know all this stuff, but if you're new to this channel, then obviously this can really benefit you. And I wanted to give this to my members as well, because at least we can show the updates for Cornerstone. The premium levels are pretty low there. And so that's why I've been adding more to Cornerstone. I'm underinvested in Cornerstone, and the premium levels are low historically for me on average. So I'm going to be adding more, and I wanted to give you all that update. Make sure that we're understanding that we're at the highs of the market, and we have to be ready for both directions. So if we're playing with ULTY and you're buying a lot of it, please make sure you're using those put options like I use, not just YQQ, because that's not going to protect you if you're putting a lot of money in ULTY. You need a lot of money in ULTY to get extra dividends, because you can't just live out of the dividends there. You know, you're not going to ever get ahead. You have to have a lot of dividends there to also save and get ahead with. And if you're using margin, to pay down your margin and grow your account even faster with. All right, so make sure you're referring back to volume 5, because I know my members have volume 5, and make sure that you're also ready for how to use our 0 DTE put options that you saw the update in volume 7. Just make sure you're ready. Make sure you're watching my strike prices and the membership videos so that we can be ready for both an up market next week. If things continue like this, we could see a melt up, or we could see the top fall. We could see the top hit in the market and the bottom fall out of the market. And in that case, ULTY would get hurt really badly because it's high beta. Richard, what do you think is better, ULTY or YMAX? That's a good question, Richard. Maybe we should save that for another video. That would be a good video topic. I would have to say right off the bat YMAX, because it has higher quality holdings in it. But ULTY still has some high quality holdings as well. We should weigh those two closer in another video. Good question, Richard. Kyle, bought all the e-guides last week. Great info. Appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Kyle. Rex, I used the triple leverage after e-guides, and wow, it's been great. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely, Rex. I mean, I know they're starting to really compound up, because they compound down and they compound up. If you use them right, they're really not that risky in a down market if you know how to deploy them. And in an up market, it can compound and turn into millions of dollars over the years, as you've seen by those Morningstar charts. So wonder how Dave Ramsey would feel about margin. Yeah, we laugh about that at our Discord all the time. I'm sure he would be appalled by what we talk about. Jason, yes, love the drip on Cornerstone was up 20% right off the start. Right, Jason. Exactly. Right when you get the shares, you're up 20%. Okay, with the new shares you get each month, you're automatically up 20. We were up 37%, 40+% during 2021. Next tunes, do I reinvest Cornerstone dividend or pay down margin? I reinvest that always. Use Yieldmax to pay down my margin. Next tunes. Jason, love Cornerstone. Agreed. Screeching Possum, just got started with CRF and CLM. I've been shocked by how much they've already moved with the market. I know. I'm telling you, I was shocked the first time in 2020 when I found them, and it kept working every year for me like a charm, so I had to start a YouTube channel to spread the good news. Jose, what's up? I use Cornerstone and the triples as a way to grow my portfolio, and ULTY and Defiance for more dividend yield. Yeah, I grew from 40K in February to 81K today. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, fam. Stay safe. Way to go, Jose. Those are fantastic results. Art, my account grew so fast because we're up 18% right now. Last year we were up 40%. And the year before that we're up 40 to 50%. I made videos when we were up 50% in each of the last 2 years. We ended up being up, high 30s, low 40s in those years. So you do that for 2 or 3 years, and that's a double and a half. Plus, I receive loans off my dividends. My dividends qualify for loans and help me pay back any kind of loan really quickly. And so I've gotten about $400,000 worth of loans. So my account's at 1.5 something, and I've received about $400,000 in loans since starting this channel. Ragnar, okay. You can just say live financially free. You don't have to say out of your brokerage accounts every time. But I have to say brokerage accounts, Ragnar, because if you use an IRA, you can't do it. If you use a Roth, you can't do it. If you use any other kind of account like that, they don't have margin. You don't have the ability to access them. Once you withdraw, you get penalized. So I say brokerage account for that reason every time. I want people to know this is out of a brokerage account where you get margin. Brokerage accounts are very special and very different than everyone's traditional accounts. So that's why I say it every time, Ragnar. Okay? Thanks for being a member, by the way. But Aaron, I see your point entirely, and that's why I have to be indexed. And if you're going to be indexed, you have to have high enough dividends to live off of. It can't be anything else other than Cornerstone. That's why I keep mentioning it all the time. I mean, you can't really live off SPYI or something like that. It's not enough yield, okay? And you have to withdraw more out of your share price to survive, and then you're going to not compound your gains. You're going to erode the base out from underneath you of making more money. Tim, I have 1.4 million portfolio paying $85K a year in dividends. I'm going to start a small 5K position in ULTY. I like how it's been performing since they made the changes in the perspectives. I agree, Tim. They made the changes. They have the protection. They get a little bit more upside, a little less dividend yield. As Marcos and I were saying in that podcast, we talked about all the specifics there. And so I'm in total agreement with you, but I still have to use the other 5 keys that we mentioned in this video to get ahead. Some politicians have really grown their Roth accounts. I still feel like margin is the easiest way to grow without being encumbered by when you withdraw. Okay, you can withdraw freely out of a brokerage account. Jason, nice. Can't wait to get e-guide number 7. Ricardo, how do you pick your Soxhole leaps to sell puts? That's in volume 6, Ricardo. That's exactly what I'm saying. There's an art to selling puts. I love talking about it. I could talk about it in this show, but this show's already gone on long enough. I'm already starting to lose my voice. But yeah, that's all in volume 6, Ricardo. Especially how I look at the charts and set my strikes. That's a big thing. You can't just take the puts that I sell and just do those because those premiums aren't as high anymore. You have to learn how to fish for yourself, and sell your own puts going forward, in my opinion. Although if you sell the puts that I have right now, you're still going to get decent premiums, but not as much downside protection because the premiums aren't as high. Can't wait to go to New York with you, Mom. So Marcos, can't wait to see you in New York. We'll be ringing the bell with Yieldmax, and we'll be doing some interesting content out there, some interesting, interviews, and we'll have all kinds of new updates to tell you about. So stay tuned for that. And Mom, I look forward to seeing you here. I already bought your ticket, Mom. I got your hotel paid for. I mean, Yieldmax pays for our hotel, but I bought your own hotel. Of course, I did all this out of dividends. You got your own room, Mom. I got my room. TJ can be with you. Ivan, that's an interesting question. And yes, they do have both sides, and they could generate income off of that. But I still don't bank on that as, something where if the market crashes, they're going to give us all this income. We're going to fall by the amount of those dollars on the X date. So even if they're getting more income from the options, they're going to fall by the amount of that higher income on the X date. And we want to protect against the bottom falling out in a crash with options, not just YQQ, which we discussed at the beginning of this video. Great point, Ivan. Easy, GBTY, great fun. It has recovered to its all-time high. Yeah, it has. And GBTY, it's even beat our AIPI. And so my members and I know we're going to be in that one heavier next time than AIPI. We discussed that all in our Discord channel. Discord has so many great conversations. If you just go to the Yieldmax channel, you can glean a lot. Martian, is PLTY any good? I've done a video on PLTY. Go check that out, Martian. Will Mar, thanks for upgrading, Will. Okay, so portfolio and SMS. All right, so you'll be getting alerts. Make sure you email me with your number, Will, and I'll add you into the SMS right after this video. Thanks again, Will. Really appreciate you. Red, and I look forward to talking to you soon, Will. Run, how much do you decide to take out to live? Surely you can't take out the full $700K a year, right? No, I would say go check out my last video, Run. I give you the details on how I actually live out of my account with ULTY, using the power of equity and maintenance. Hey, Xavier. All right. Welcome. Good to see you, Xavier. Okay, so you can check out all my allocations now. Let me know if you have any questions, Xavier. Once again, thank you, Xavier. Really appreciate you. Jonathan, are you expecting turmoil when the tariff pause expires this week? Never, Jonathan. And you know what? That's just the buying opportunity we would need. In my opinion, I would be buying the heck out of that dip, just like the last time we had the tariff news, because we knew that was all artificial and eventually the world would be okay from that. There was nothing structurally wrong with the world when that was happening. It wasn't like growth for Apple was slowing down or something. So I will definitely be buying that dip if we get it, Jonathan. Once again, we're living financially free out of our brokerage accounts using Yieldmax, ULTY, MSTY, and margin. We're up 18% for the year, blowing away all of the indexes. And you can do this too. Anyone can do this. If you need help living financially free out of your brokerage account, email me for my e-guides at akintod48@gmail.com. And you can also head to my website, Unconventional Wealth Ideas, to learn more about my e-guides there. All right, I love you all so much. I'll see you on the next stream. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.